Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now this one's from the Mother-in-Laws from Hell subreddit from Living Honeydew 2257 and says, dinner-in-law with mother-in-law took an unexpected turn. My mother-in-law and I went out to dinner as my husband and my father-in-law were out at a concert together. They are from out of state and staying with us for a few days. My mother-in-law is intense and does not hold back on overly displaying how much she loves her son. Well, at dinner after 3 martinis and me completely sober, as my husband and I are TTC, trying to conceive, she looks at me and goes, "If you ever break my son's heart, I will fucking kill you. I mean it." And his sister will too. She watches a lot of Dateline. I was so stunned that she said this after 6 years together and understanding how strong our relationship is. Her words in another conversation, "I couldn't have asked for a better wife for my son. You two are a perfect match and are so blessed." Unfortunately, I was so stunned that I did not respond the way I wanted, and I kind of babbled on something about not needing to be worried. I told my husband this and he was appalled. My question is, when she undoubtedly says something offensive like this again, is there a way to respond that is stronger and defensive of myself? I just really can't believe the tone with which she said it, and while this is not the first time she has said it, it felt intense. This is my first post here, so thank you for reading. Now, petty me, and I'm not saying OP should do this because, it just caused more drama in the end, but just look her straight in the face and say, fucking bring it on. And another part of me would just want to look her in the face and just sort of just blank face and say, did you just hear yourself talking then? You just threatened to kill me. What fucking planet are you from? In reality though, talk to your husband, tell him to deal with his mother. You're not tolerating that shit no more. Or even one step further if you want and just say, look, I don't want to talk to someone that's going to talk to me in that way. You've already told us that it's been a pattern of behavior. You already told us she's going to do it again at some point. So why would you want to be around someone like that, right? No one's got time for that bullshit. A user says to OP in quotes, "It's disappointing that you feel this way about me because I could never let a person who is so unkind to me have a close relationship with my child." OP responded saying, "And the stress about how she will act around my future child is already in full force. I think the point about how disappointing it is will also be key. Thank you so much." Glove Imaginary says, "Oh my god, that's horrendous. I would state clearly that you understand that she thinks that kind of statement comes from a place of love and being a protective mother. But if she ever threatens you again, you'll go no contact and her son will most likely follow suit. I'm so sorry you had to see her true colors like that." OP said, "Thank you. I really appreciate your response because she disguises hurtful comments as coming from a place of love, like you said. In the future, I will use this." My Reddit username 428 says, "So it's a pattern then. You have my permission to be the bigger bitch, OP. Any and every time she says something unsolicited, nasty, snarky, or intimidating, call her out. What do you mean by that, mother-in-law? Wow, did you really just say that out loud? That was incredibly inappropriate, rude, mean, nasty thing to say, mother-in-law. Husband, did you hear what mother-in-law just said to me? That was uncalled for, mother-in-law. Time for you to leave." Cardinal quotes OP and says, "I feel like you really buried the lead here. She has repeatedly threatened your life. What the actual fuck, girl? You and husband need a reality check. This behavior is not acceptable. Mother-in-law goes home now. He can let her know that he's been thinking about how he wants to handle this, but for now, she's in a timeout. Don't fall for the 'I was just joking.' That's what abusive people always try to get away with. It's not a joke because it's not funny. Hope your husband is on your side in this. She's going to freak out because these types always think they're entitled to access your baby without you being involved. Arseholes, in other words." And one more comment from Jay Freeze who says, "You get up from whatever you're doing. We'll use dinner out again. Lay down your napkin, tell her point blank that you will not tolerate being spoken to like that, and leave. Leave her with a bill, tell the waiter or hostess on your way out to give her the tab. Leave her with no ride home. She drove, call an Uber from a nearby store. If it happens at a home, say the same. Call a hotel, an Uber, and leave. If this happens at your home, say the same, but tell her you're calling a hotel and an Uber for her, and she needs to get packed because she's leaving. ETA, you stopped your husband from defending you. It's part of his job. You're not in charge of protecting their relationship. She slashed that relationship when she threatened you, and it's not the first time. Girl, are you super young? Stop trying so hard to be a people pleaser. You do not tolerate being treated like that. It doesn't make you the better person. It makes you a human doormat. Stop that. So then OP came in with her update and said, I first want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for the many encouraging comments. This whole experience was a major wake-up call to not allow someone to speak to me this way and reevaluate boundaries and people-pleasing tendencies. It also makes me realize that I'm not alone, and I have several strong women in this community who stand up for themselves and are learning these lessons too. I would also like to add that never did I feel like my life was in danger. I understand the severity of what she said. However, dramatic is her middle name, and this phrase is something I've heard her say to many others, including my husband's friends. Her taking him on a hiking trip, wow, how horrible. And myself. This does not change how seriously we react to the comment. So flash forward to the day they left, the morning after the incident and the morning that I posted. Mother-in-law begins to send text after text with the most effusive love and support you could imagine regarding her stay with us in our loving home. We ignore them because we are both working, and also, who cares? The plan was for my husband to call her after work. She knows something is up because now she is calling me. I let it go to voicemail and having a husband who rarely messages me to see if I'll reply. My husband calls her as soon as he gets home and absolutely blasts her. While he was firm and calm, there was no mistaking that she was silent while he told her how unacceptable, disappointing, disturbing, and unnecessary that comment was. Her response? That's just how I talk. Husband explains that no one speaks to his wife like that, and no one understands a disjointed state of mind except for her. The call ends. She calls him back 10 minutes later. Classic move once she's thought about what manipulative thing to say, and we ignored. The following day rolls around and she calls again, this time saying that she was joking and we took it the wrong way. Husband leans into her again, and we decide that I will never be left alone with her. The hilarious thing about it is that dinner was the first time we were ever alone. Husband finally lets me know for the first time ever that he understood his mum's game since high school, and that is partly the reason he moved out of state. It goes way deeper than this, but wow, eye-opening. For now, I'm no contact with her, and it looks like husband will be too. Monster-in-laws are no joke. Be safe out there, and thank you again for your support. Following the old classic rules of the manipulator's handbook. That's just how I talk. And it was just a joke, and then you took it the wrong way. Just shows what kind of character she is. But what I'm super glad about is that your husband had your back in this. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but obviously we always see the negative experiences on Reddit of people's stories, and how in a lot of stories, like the mother seems to have their sons or daughters twisted around their little finger, but not in this case. I'm glad you got each other's backs on this, and no contact sounds like a good way to go. Voluntold says to OP, first, congrats on having such a strong marriage. Your husband took your comments on what his mother said as fact. That is huge. Second, he stood up for you like a champ. That had to be a bit hard for him, regardless of knowing how manipulative and game-playing she is. I hope father-in-law reams her out. No clue how he deals with her. Not only should that be the one and only time you're alone with her, that trip should be the last time they ever stay in your home. A major consequence for the in-laws is needed to drive home husband's message. He will never disrespect my wife again. OP replies saying thank you very much for your support. Totally agree. I know that he loves his mum. This does not mean boundaries cannot be set, and I can only imagine how I'd feel if I had to speak this way with my mum if she were to, God forbid, say something so unhinged. Unfortunately, my father-in-law does not stand up to her, and this is a pattern I have witnessed for years. My husband's words, no one keeps her in check aside from me. I think you're right about no longer staying in our home. It felt like a generous arrangement to begin with, but now they can figure it out. It's a shame because I would love for us to be a happy family, but that is just not possible with her. Someone commented to OP about her only joking, and no, she wasn't actually joking. OP replied to that saying that her husband is a real gem, and someone commented on my original post that when we got married we vowed to always put each other first, and I thought that summed up perfectly what it did for me. I completely agree with you about the joking comment. This excuse has also been used when she sent me a Weight Watchers promotional email, and when she told me my own mother being very sick a few days before my wedding was attention seeking. The list goes on. My husband has no more rose-colored glasses for her bullshit. It feels good. Thank you so much again for your support. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Off My Chest subreddit from Lizard Queen 742 and says, I think I'm watching my husband cheat on me in real time. I, 33 female, have been married to my husband, 33 male, for 3 years now. Been together for 7. The first year we were together, we lived 3 hours away from each other. And one weekend while I was at his place, I had found out he cheated on me. We worked through it, he moved in with me, and we've been pretty good ever since. I like to think we have a relatively strong marriage, or at least I did. Last week he told me he had to go away this week for work. His best friend back home is having some pretty serious mental health issues and can no longer be allowed to use power tools. However, he was in the middle of a building project that needs to get done, so said friend's dad hired my husband to finish the job with him. So it's like a work trip, but also not a work trip, I guess. He told me he was leaving Tuesday and would be back Friday. Since he left, I haven't spoken to him for more than 5 minutes at a time. Usually when he's away for work, he's calling me 5 times a day, which I thought was weird, but just assumed he was busy hanging out. Tonight, technically last night, so Wednesday, he once again only calls me for 10 minutes and tells me that not only is he now staying until Sunday, even though he sent me pictures of the job half done already, but he's going to get his car looked at, which is why he can't talk long because he worked late and still has to take his car in. When I asked him where he's taking his car to get fixed so late, it was almost 10 at this point, and he said he had a buddy next town over an hour away. I was going to take a look at it tonight. Give him a quote and get parts to get it fixed Thursday. Huge red flags now. Because if he was going to a friend's house, he always tells me who. It's never just a buddy. And as his wife, I know he only has 2 friends that still live in that town, and neither of them know shit about cars. We have a tracking app that we use for us and our kids' phones, so I decided to look on that. He got there at midnight. It's now 3 AM and he's still there, and it's neither of said friends' houses. I just know. My gut is just screaming that this is exactly what I think it is, and I'm sick to my stomach. My best friend is asleep and she's all I have. And I just have to get this off my chest before I explode. Update, he stayed until 6:30 this morning. Called me at 7:30 while still on the road pretending to be just walking up. I don't think he understands how our app works. Said that his car couldn't get fixed because parts are seized. Still never mentioned what friend. He pretty much just proved it to me there. I appreciate all your kind words and advice. I'm broken, so forgive me if I don't answer replies. Just know I appreciate it. Update 2, answering questions. Now that I've had most of the day to really think about everything and had a good talk with my best friend about it as well, this is where we're at. When he called me this morning, I was making coffee. I told him I was making coffee, and he said, "Ooh, coffee, I should get some of that. I just woke up and haven't gotten a chance yet." Except when he left this morning, he went to the closest coffee shop before he left town, so again, another lie. And to answer the reoccurring question of, why are you tracking him if you trust him? The answer is I'm not. Well, I wasn't before now. We got the app last week when our kids started walking to school on their own, so we could just see they were getting home safe. In turn, they can see where we are when we're out of the house. I didn't force him to get a tracking app, and it wasn't to catch him doing anything, although it did kind of work out that way, I guess. So the story he gave me was he went over there for his buddy. He finally gave me a name, let's call him John, and I know of John, but have never met him in person, which is why I think he's a good patsy, to fix something on his car. He said they couldn't get it unstuck with home tools, so he came home. But John's a mechanic, so he's going to talk to his boss today and see if he'll allow them to come in after hours tonight to fix it in the shop. And he was just waiting on confirmation of that. And a quote for parts. Now, here's the problem. Although John is a mechanic, John doesn't work nor live in the city he was in last night. And as soon as he said, quote for parts, I realized that that means he doesn't have the parts yet. Which means if his story were true, they would have been taking apart the car with no parts to put it back together. which makes zero sense. And that's what put it all together for me. While I was on the phone with him, his best friend woke up and asked him if he was just getting in from last night, and I literally listened to him stumble to come up with an answer, because he knew I could hear him. That one cut deep, but he said no, I came home last night. Surprised you didn't hear me. Lied to his best friend too, which is super suspicious. I have, both from reading these comments and talking with friends, decided that I'm going to keep it low and cool. I'm not going to confront him because I don't see a point. He's either going to deny it, flip it, or admit it and beg for forgiveness, and honestly, I don't want to deal with any of that right now. What I need to do is get my ducks in a row to get out. So that's what the plan is going forward. I feel humiliated, I feel stupid as fuck, but above all else, I'm pissed. Pissed at him, pissed at me, just pissed the fuck off. And to everyone who asked why I didn't leave the first time, I'm not even going to be mad about it. It's a valid question, and the answer is that he put in the work to prove it was a mistake. I had never been cheated on before, and I was naive. We went through therapy and a lot of work, and he put in all the effort I ever asked for to prove that this is what he really wanted. He really fooled me. So yeah, you're all right. I should have more self-respect then. I should have known, and I didn't, and I'll be the first to admit now that I'm an idiot. I'll be sure to use it as a life lesson going forward. So someone said to the OP, can you do a Google search of the address? See if it's an apartment/home. Search the address and see if you can find a name for the resident owner. You have access to his apps. Can you look at his messages? Try calling him, see if he picks up. If he doesn't answer, call him again later today. Ask him who the friend is, where the car is. Take screenshots of the location with the time of day. It doesn't look good. Sorry. Lady Beamer says, document everything and get your ducks in a row quietly. Trust your gut. He's your husband and we're strangers on the internet. I'm sorry he's done this to you and your family. Good on you for not ignoring red flags though. Part of me is really hoping that his friend asked him that question while he was on the phone on purpose to, give that hint to OP. But around 4 days later, OP comes in with another update and says, hey y'all, a lot of people have been asking for an update, so here we go. Go see previous posts to catch up to this point. So he finally came home Saturday night. I'd spent the entire week gathering the information I need for divorce, but what I really needed for myself was proof. Proof that this was anything other than what I think it was. Proof that I was crazy for ever thinking he would do this to me. Instead, I found her. He claims he went over to her house but never actually slept with her. He entertained her but never slept with her. Spent the night but didn't sleep with her. I just couldn't believe that. He told me he only entertained her because she made it easy to give her attention. And that's when I walked out. I spent the day with my bestie, drank a lot, and I decided for my own closure I needed to know if he really did sleep with her. One way or another, he took off his ring and walked into the house, so I was done. But for my own peace of mind, I needed to know the truth, and I wasn't going to get it from him. I found her number in his phone the night he got home, so I just called her. Turns out he lied about being married, obviously, and took advantage of a poor girl who had recently gotten out of an abusive relationship and finally put her trust into someone again. He did sleep with her, even left her his shirt because he wouldn't be back for 2 weeks. Yes, he was planning on going back if I didn't find out. He made this poor girl think he loved her. I'm disgusted. He hurt so many people with this shit. So here we are. I'm officially a 33-year-old single mum, terrified of life ahead. I haven't eaten in days. My body has been in fight or flight for so long now that I'm currently sitting at the hospital hoping someone can help me reset it so I can finally sleep for once this week and my heart can have a break. I'm a mess, to say the least, but I seriously want to thank everyone for the advice and kind words. This is a literal nightmare, and that I feel I can't wake up from. And the sweet messages really help, so thank you all again. Here's hoping it gets better. Max Zaddy says to the OP, does he know that you know the truth? I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. Send you the biggest hug and get an STI test just to be safe. OP says he does. He continues to deny it. Tried to pass it off like she was just some crazy girl obsessed with him and lying to me. DJ Sakura says, I mean, he even lies for shit. Like, if she was that crazy and obsessed, why spend the night there? Who the hell says, oh, hey crazy stalker, let's have a sleepover? So glad you're kicking his scumbag ass at a curb. Comfortable Echo says, men like this make me hate the world. So selfish that they shouldn't be allowed to operate in society. I truly hope you heal and move on to a happier, healthier life. Electrical C says it will definitely get better. You're so strong for leaving him. I'm really sorry this happened, but now you can begin your healing journey once the grief subsides. I'll never understand how people can't be happy with their families or destroy so many people's lives because of their selfishness. OP replies saying, and that's just it. Like, if you're not happy with me, that sucks, but it is what it is. There was no need to destroy multiple people along the way. It was unnecessary damage and I can't fathom it. I'm honestly just as upset for the other girl as I am as much as myself. She had a really rough past relationship. She opened up to this fuckstick just for him to throw her under the bus and wreck her too. It literally makes me sick. And I'm sorry you've had to deal with that, OP. It just, like you said, the trail of destruction that he's left behind him is absolutely disgusting. And your empathy towards the other woman as well, while you're going through what you're going through, is amazing. It will get better for you. You're a good person who absolutely deserves better. And I hope you find help in whatever way that gives you that peace and closure that you need, whether that's professional help or some other form. But don't let this asshole damage your life any further. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon.